All right, team, welcome to yet another episode of FDL Presents the Zach Rocheleau Podcast. And today's guest is Micheal, aka the CEO and founder of Enlightened Ice Cream. So you guys might know this brand by now, you should. It is the direct competitor and actually was the brand that came before Halo Top. And it is my preferred lower calorie, higher protein ice cream source. And they also create so many other products that you'll learn about during this podcast. But in this podcast, you're gonna learn some really cool things on where Enlightened was started. Like, how did it begin? Like, it's a really cool story that I didn't even know, and I'm so excited for you guys to listen to. And then what is the process of making ice cream, and then how do you actually get it on the shelves? Like, what does that R&D period look like, and what's that turnaround time to get it on actual shelves? And you're also gonna learn how this all started. Like, literally, did you guys know that Enlightened had a pop-up shop? And that's how they use proof of concept to be able to get into a store. Like, did you guys know all these things? And lastly, we talked about what Micheal's advice would be for a young entrepreneur looking to start a company like this and what it's really going to take. So I'm super excited for you guys to listen to this episode. It's a value-packed one. But before we begin, please head to iTunes and give this a 5-star review. iTunes loves 5-star reviews and it helps us reach people and be able to spread this positive message that you guys have enjoyed so far. And also, if you are listening to this, please shoot me a DM and let me know that you're listening to it, and just tell me what was your favorite part of the actual episode. And don't be afraid of commenting it below on YouTube or on iTunes. It's my fire, guys. It's what motivates me on a daily basis. So I just want to know that you guys are truly listening. And lastly, before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, One Bars, Protein Cookie Company, and Enlightened. Let's get the interview started. I want to thank everybody to tuning in to yet another episode of FDL Presents the Zach Rocheleau Podcast. And I have a very special guest today. And it's somebody that I haven't seen interviewed much, but his company is actually taking the world, like, it's everywhere. And it's somebody that I look up to a lot for what he's been able to do. And it's somebody that you guys have been asking for me to interview a lot. So I have the CEO and founder of Enlightened, and you guys might know them as the low calorie ice cream brand, the main competitor to someone like a Halo Top. And you guys always ask me, Halo Top or Enlightened, Halo Top or Enlightened. And I have Enlightened all the time, all day, every day. It's always Enlightened. So I want to thank you, Micheal, for coming on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zach.
Absolutely. So just to kind of start it off, if you are listening and you do not know what Enlightened is, it's Halo Top's competitor. But let's say, and I'm going to ask Micheal this question, let's say if somebody were to just be scrolling through Instagram and they've never seen Enlightened before, and they happen to stumble upon your Instagram page, what is the main thing you want them to take away from your page?
I think that we're the Blanca of healthy snacking and indulgence. Really want to immerse them in a world of fun and flavor that actually happens to be nutritious and good for you.
Absolutely. No, I can back that 100%. It's the lower calorie ice cream wave is definitely taken over. It's a way for people to be able to take their love of eating ice cream, but not just eating 1 bite, 2 bites, 3 bites, but being able to eat a solid amount of it. And that's kind of like what I'm doing with my recipes. I want people to be able to have an opportunity to be able to eat the whole pie or the whole cake rather than just a few bites. And we live in a gluttonous society. Serving sizes are getting bigger and bigger. And so it's putting a challenge on everybody else in the industry to create bigger serving sizes for less calories. And it's definitely super interesting. And it's a powerful thing. So how long ago did this idea of creating Enlightened? And I remember you guys started not making ice cream in the very beginning, or was it ice cream bars in the beginning?
It was ice cream bars in the beginning. Started thinking about this idea. I started thinking about this idea around 2010. Really pretty organically. I was a personal trainer. I had recently graduated from college. I was helping my clients with their individual health and fitness goals. And if anyone knows about the world of personal training, and what you tend to talk about with your clients, it's food, specifically the foods you can't eat. And in talking to my clients and talking to them about what their challenges were, I think that I figured out pretty quickly that there was a great opportunity in creating healthier, indulgent options.
Absolutely. So, let's go all the way back. Like, so for example, at that time in 2010, like how did you see nutrition? So like, what was was it still that good or bad mentality? There were good foods and bad foods, or was it more of like, okay, we can fit this in, but only in small quantities, and it's okay if you do, but just know that it's if you overeat, you're going to probably go over your caloric goal for the day.
Yeah. Well, my interest in nutrition generally started when I was a senior in high school, and my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Until then, I hadn't really ever spent much time looking at nutrition facts panels or ingredient decks. I really just looked for flavor. What flavor is it of what I'm going for? And that diagnosis kind of opened my eyes to the importance of good health. I went to college and studied health policy, and I thought I'd have a career in kind of the political, legal side of health policy, trying to help people make better health decisions. I actually wrote my senior thesis on calorie posting requirements in restaurants before it was legislated, before now you can go into a Starbucks and see that small slice of carrot cake actually has 800 calories, right?
That's something I've done a lot of research on of late, and it's unbelievable. So for example, a place like Whole Foods. So it's pretty well documented. Their production, in the sense of like their sales on their bakery goods, have been cut in half since they were having to do that, because it's Whole Foods. It's like they didn't understand. They didn't know. They didn't know
simply. Yeah. And, my general view on it is that we shouldn't tell people what they need to eat, but we should give people the information and then empower them to make their own decisions, whatever those decisions are.
Absolutely. And it makes so much sense. Like, we want people to obviously know the variables, but then have the choice between tons of different options. That's what, like, capitalism and understanding like how the world works. Like, you want to be the best option.
Sure.
And that's the biggest thing. It's like, if competitor comes out, they'll force you to become even better of an option. And that's why I love this world, because we're lucky to live in a country where we're able to actually do that, and we can control that. So it's super fascinating. So what was the first process of creating your own ice cream bar back in 2010?
When I first started, it wasn't actually ice cream bars. I started with a pint format.
Okay.
So I remember having these conversations with my clients, conversations with my friends, my family, about why there wasn't a healthier ice cream option. At the time, the best options were really just less bad. They were lower in calorie, but still had a ton of sugar, a pretty poor ingredient deck, didn't have the protein and fiber nutrients that I think, quite honestly, provide satiation, right? Or satisfaction. So the best options were really just less bad. And I wanted to create something that was actively good. Not so much to create a business, but really just so at least my clients and my family could have a better option. So when you're a personal trainer, shout out to all the personal trainers, you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you have your 5 a.m. client, your 6 a.m. client, your 7 a.m. client, your 8 a.m. client. Then, at least for me, I had this big period in the middle of the day where I didn't have much to do. And I had my second wave, right? My 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. clients. I had all this time where I was trying to figure out, what should I do? Walk around the city, go grocery shopping. I like spending time. I'd always like spending time in grocery stores. And I wandered into Bed Bath & Beyond one day and saw they had this Cuisinart ice cream maker on sale. I was like, maybe I can try whipping something up at home that has less sugar, more protein, a little cleaner. So I bought that ice cream maker and just started playing around in the middle of the day.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It was very organic. It was very much like, let me just try to do something that the people directly around me in my life would enjoy. And to be totally frank, they did not enjoy it at first. It was very good at first, right? But I kept going at it and kept working on it. If I was living at home with my parents at the time, and my mom, who's actually the president of our company, helped me a lot. You know, she wanted to support her boy. I don't think she believed in it quite at that time, quite yet, but she helped me a ton. And we'd make different recipes, write them all down on notepads, X amount of protein, X amount of fiber, little dash of monk fruit or stevia or whatever it was we were playing with at the time. And, you know, tried to create something that was tasty and provided good nutrition. And I'd take those recipes in Tupperware containers or little blank pint containers and bring them in, see what my clients thought of them, see what my friends thought of them. And that process actually continued on for about a year and a half or so. This was by no means my full-time gig. This was just a hobby. It was something I really enjoyed doing. And as I progressed and made better and better recipes, I started thinking more about the supermarkets where I was going to pick up various ingredients I needed, and kind of thought, hey, maybe if I keep going here, I could actually package this and put it on a shelf. And ended up doing that. But actually before we got product to shelf, we opened up a small pop-up shop in Midtown Manhattan. Before we had packaged any product, we produced a run of ice cream bars. And I should mention, we switched. That's when we decided we wanted to actually try to make something that was more than just in my home kitchen. We decided we wanted to go to ice cream bars because at the time there was Skinny Cow and Weight Watchers that were the best options in the category. And again, they were lower calorie, but high sugar, very poor ingredient tech, no protein, no fiber. We figured we could create something that had actively, you know, good nutrition and that there would be a space for it, right? I could go into my West Side market and say, hey, you know, you have Weight Watchers, you've got Skinny Cow. Here's something that's just like them, but much, much better. Give it a shot. And that's what we ended up doing. The pop-up shop worked out. People really liked the product in the pop-up shop. And we took that product, put it in a box of 4, and started bringing it to local supermarkets in January, February of 2013.
Wow, that's cool. So how long was, I know, I don't think the pop-up shop is anymore, I'm guessing.
No, it was really only like a 6 or 7 week thing.
Yeah. Interesting. So how did that go? Like, what was the initial response? So like the first couple weeks, like, was there hyping up before it, or like, how did that actually work? I'm super curious. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know much about hyping, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, my idea of hyping was standing out on the street in front of the store and just trying to get people to come in, wave them in. I think the ability to hype these days has vastly increased. Non-traditional methods like Instagram, Facebook, blogs, podcasts. Yeah, I think my idea of target audience was anybody that was in arm's reach for me with the pop-up shop. So, you know, we had varying levels of success. I got very used to hearing no, which I think actually trained me very well for the years to come. You got to hear no a lot of times and be willing to kind of roll with that.
Amen.
But yeah, the pop-up shop was just a great little test for us to see, would people buy a healthier ice cream bar and would they like it? And we felt confident enough that they did. And that gave us kind of the confidence to go to the next level with a launch into some local supermarkets.
That's super cool. So 2013 is when you first went in there. When you first got into the store, how was that? Like, what was that process like? How did it take a little while to take off, or was it something that kind of grew right away?
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good reaction to the product right away from customers, but there's really multiple processes here. We're not a direct to consumer business so much. So we first have to convince the people selling the product to the customers, right? And it was interesting. There was a lot of begging. There was a lot of pleading. One time I tried placing the product on the shelf and running away and saying, I didn't get into it. But,
Funny.
I didn't really know what I was doing. Sometimes I still wonder if I know what I'm doing, but you just do your best, right? So it was a lot of conversations with people on the street, individual store owners, but we got pretty lucky in that when we had the pop-up shop, a kind of new product scout from Fresh Direct, which is a grocery delivery service in New York City, came and checked out the pop-up shop, said, I think what you have is really cool. We'd love to carry this product when you're ready. So pretty shortly after we had that packaged 4-pack of ice cream bars, we launched on Fresh Direct, which gave us a really nice boost of sales, right from the start. So that was lucky. And I think a lot of entrepreneurship and business development is right place, right time, luck. I'm sure if I had tried to do this 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years before, it would have failed miserably. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's like, well, the biggest thing is like we live in a society where like luck is a real thing. It's a real thing, but like it's for example, like I'm having meetings with like these big name entrepreneurs. Like, and I'm living in Austin. A lot of them live here, and I'm like having dinner with like the VP of GoPro and like all these like really cool people. And say I do, and they're introed from other people. So like they're introed from other people that they respect, and they're like, well, they wouldn't put this kid in front of me and want me to meet him if he wasn't. And so, for example, if I wouldn't have spent 4 or 5 years just constantly just getting better every single day, just like immersing myself in it, I would have this meeting and then they would leave being like, well, this kid's not anything. But then because I did all the work, I can actually relate to them and I can talk about value. I can talk about life. I can talk about all these deeper meaning things. And they're like, whoa, like you're 26 and you understand this? Like, this is cool. And so then I get intro to somebody else or I continue that relationship. And similar to what you went through, it's like you spent all that time, you understood what hard work was. Anybody that's been a personal trainer, I was that. I owned my own gym before I started FDL. I actually started FDL, which is funny, the middle of my days in between clients because I had the early morning and the afternoon shifts. And during the middle of the day is when I would make all my recipes and do all my stuff and create all this kind of stuff in between, which is so funny when you were saying that. I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm like, anybody that's listening knows that. And it's super cool. You just make the most of what you have.
Yeah. But hard work, I think, is definitely the common denominator. I try to work pretty hard, but work hard, then you get the luck. That's when great things happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when the ice cream bars, they did well.
Yeah.
And when was that moment whenever you guys started moving into more of the pint space?
Sure. So actually between the launch of the ice cream bars and the ice cream pints, we also launched a line of roasted broad bean snacks.
Yes.
So one thing that separates us, I think, from some of our competition and really from a lot of other food companies, especially young food companies, is we really have a mission and goal to change many different categories by offering a better option, not just one. So, we have 3 lines of products right now. We have our ice cream, which includes bars and pints. We have our roasted broad bean crisps, a savory snack made from broad beans or fava beans, and our newer marshmallow treats. That's a great alternative to a traditional Rice Krispie treat, and we have more plans for innovation. And I've always wanted to offer people many healthy options as I could. And kind of what we think about is be innovative. We don't have any illusions that we're the best executors out there. We're not a Unilever or a Nestle that has the resources to launch a product into all stores pretty much instantaneously when they're ready to. So our only path and our only way to succeed is really doing something pretty different. And I think we did that with ice cream. We were one of the first ever put monk fruit in ice cream, use erythritol as a sweetener, make a product that had more protein than sugar. And the pints were something we always had wanted to do. But as I had mentioned before, there really wasn't too much of a precedent for healthy ice cream, period, higher protein, lower sugar ice cream, period. And as our novelties bars, that's the industry term for bars, novelties, started to do pretty well and then started to do really well, I think retailers became more willing to accept the idea that we could have an ice cream pint as well. And obviously our competition has had great success. And I think that played a large role as well in our ability to get acceptance into the market. So in 2016 is when we launched our pints. And we really only launched them with a few retailers who we had really strong relationships with our ice cream bars and our roasted broad bean snacks. And we said, hey, we're going to do this. And are you interested? And they said, heck yeah, we are interested. So we did. And in a year, we had gone from 7 flavors to 21. And that was by the end of 2017, basically. And we have some more flavors coming soon. So
I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I've growing a business like this, and I can only imagine. So like trying to scale FDL the way we have, and then being able to see what you've been able to do in such a short period of time. Honestly, it really is, with all the moving parts and everything that you've been able to create. It is, I mean, you did the groundwork in the beginning. I guarantee that during that period, you learned a lot, especially with launching those bars, and a lot of that kind of translates to getting the pints where they need to be and growing that business. But then I can only imagine how it just multiplies over time, and you're just like having to be so much more every single day. And I admire it so much. So one thing that I wanted to do with this podcast is, like, you guys know, like, the ice cream is really good, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but it was really cool to hear the simple fact of why your nutrition became a priority. It was something actually that happened in your life that was at the time perceived pretty bad. It sucked. Like, your dad was diagnosed with type 2, but you saw it as an opportunity. That's the thing that I want everybody listening is, we all have opportunities. Like, we have these things that happen in our lives that are flashed before us. And we're like, at the moment, we're like, damn, like, that sucks. But in reality, it's a turning point. It's a crossroads of, are we going to see it as an opportunity that's going to motivate us, or are we going to see it as we're the victim and there's nothing we can do? And everybody that I talk to at that crossroads, they see it as an opportunity to solve a problem. And that's what you've been able to do. And I believe you've been able to build this at the rate you have with and I've met your team, and they're all amazing. You've been able to do this because they see that inside of you. They see that greater mission. They see that initial reason why you did it was to help your dad and to help your clients. And that, I don't think it's changed, but now it's a greater scale. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I mean, I love personal training, and a large part of me was very sad to stop. That one-on-one interaction was incredible, and seeing the changes that I was able to help people make in their lives was also extremely gratifying. I think with Enlightened, we're really just able to do that on a much broader scale, instead of touching the lives of, 1 or 2 people or 20 people. a week, we can touch the lives of millions of people, which is it's pretty incredible. And I'm pretty grateful for that opportunity. And we want to keep doing it and keep, bringing joy and excitement and fun to people's lives with healthier options for a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the grand scheme of things, so I'm curious about this. We're going to go on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm super curious with, okay, so say for example, you decide you're going to make a new flavor of ice cream in a pint form. So what does that process usually look? And I think everybody is super curious about this because obviously low calorie pints have become this this phenomenon around the country and now becoming the world. Like, what does that process look like from start to finish, and then when you're finally on the shelves?
Sure. Well, I can't speak for other companies. For us, I know, and for me, the process really starts with a lot of research, right? Research for me is eating the most indulgent out there, and thinking about ways to try to put our enlightened spin on them. And when we think about new flavors, we look at various data sources to see what's popular. We also look to restaurants and trends in other food spaces or other food categories to see what people are talking about. It's a pretty fun process. Obviously, there's lots of standard flavors out there, but the thing that gets me really exciting is doing the more non-standard flavors. And this year, you'll be seeing a bunch of those. And I think that's where we really have an opportunity to be creative and think about ways to excite people, not with the same old, but with something really new. And specifically for this growing body or pool of health conscious consumers, they're not eating the junk, right? Or if they are, they're eating it very rarely. So I think be able to do this year and in the years to come is offer this growing group of really educated, or you'll excuse the pun, enlightened consumers, right? An option that I'm going to get killed for that, by the way. An option or options that are really just new and exciting for them. So that's probably the best part of this job, that process of new flavor creation, new product creation. It's kind of never ending and makes my everyday really exciting. There's probably not a single day where I'm not thinking, at least for a few hours, about something new that we're working on, in the midst of working on, or going to be starting as a project shortly.
Absolutely. I know that feeling all too well. And I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are listening and you're not actually watching this on YouTube, anytime Mike talks about like the new things coming, he has this little smirk on his face. And like, I didn't want to interrupt you though, but anytime I hear about the new products, that's how I know they're good. Cause like, I remember the first time I met Mike, like I noticed that little smirk whenever we talked about anything new coming on. So be prepared. You guys are going to hear it from me. So, but know that some really cool things are coming because they've always lived up to expectations. And there's been a lot of hype about new things coming out, and a lot of people have been asking. And they do their due diligence. They do a lot. I saw the research and development firsthand whenever I went and visit the headquarters in New York, and it's a really, really, really cool process. So, yeah, and the health space, like that's a cool topic because health is always going to be there. It's always going to be of importance. The value never declines, and I believe as this world evolves and the consumer is more educated, thus we become more valuable by the options we give them. Because, for example, this is like super, super fascinating because, and I don't want to put the cat out of the bag, but like I remember when we were in New York and we were talking like about a summit teaching about nutrition and or something along those lines, because an educated consumer is our best friend, because if they look at a pint and they don't understand what those numbers on that pint actually mean, if they don't understand that you're getting more protein and what protein actually does in the body, if they don't understand that says it has 14 grams of carbs per serving, but in reality it's sweetened by erythritol, it only has 4.4 calories per gram. Thus, you can subtract a lot of those out, and a lot of those calories, a lot of those carbs are coming from fiber as well. So in reality, you're not getting as many calories as you think you are. And the reason why all these are so important, if they have no clue what those mean, then we're fighting an uphill battle and they will never truly appreciate us. And that's the biggest challenge, is education. And so that's what we are focusing on in 2018 is education for the end consumer. So then it grows the pie rather than just trying to take a slice.
Couldn't agree more. Education is the key. And I think we're very lucky in that I think the pace of education is accelerating.
Absolutely.
Pretty significantly. So 10 years ago, I didn't hear that much about sugar. But today, you probably open any paper and flip over to the health section and find plenty about sugar. And I think that that's key. The more educated consumers get, the better it is for businesses that make that their focus. And there's also probably things that we'll continue to learn and do better with our own products or offerings. So it's a dynamic and exciting time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a lot of go-getters who listen to this podcast, and they're trying to figure out where their direction is in life and how they can have an impact. And that's the biggest thing I talk about, is having an impact. It's finding what you're truly amazing at, the value that your unique value that you can provide the world, and then hammering and going all in on that thing and becoming the absolute best of it. It's all about solving a problem. You see a problem in the world and say, why not me? Why can't I solve that? So think back to the old Micheal, not the old Micheal, the younger Micheal, earlier on in your stage.
The old Micheal's now.
I want you to talk about, like, to that person, what advice would you give them to help them understand that they are worthy, or a way for them to see a void in the world, or anything like that could maybe shift their mindset, that like me and you are no different than they are. Like, what would you say are like those characteristics, or what was going through your mind at that time? Obviously it was started as a hobby, but just a few points that could kind of point them in the right direction.
I think the biggest thing is there are a lot of ideas out there. Ideas are great, but it's just an idea and it's not really that valuable. Execution really is where the value comes in. So before you pursue an idea, I would say to spend some time thinking about it, but actually even more important than what you do during the day, go to sleep and see how you feel first thing in the morning. I had a lot of ideas for different things I wanted to do, but there's an excitement in coming up with an idea. And then a lot of ideas, that excitement fades over time. You wake up a week later, you wake up 2 weeks later, a month later, 6 months later. Are you still thinking about that, or are you on to something else? And with Enlightened, once I started thinking about it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I'd wake up every morning still thinking about it. And that happened for probably at least 3 or 4 months before I even did the first thing. That concept was still there, and it was something that excited me, the idea of a healthier ice cream. So I would say kind of do that test. People talk about racing a lot, but great ideas, again, there's a lot of them out there, and no matter what you're doing, maybe if you're some type of advanced scientist, you're the only one doing it. But for most of us out there, anything we do, somebody else is doing it. So make sure you're really, really passionate about it. And it's something that you almost is kind of like stuck in your brain a little bit. And I think if you do that thing and you're willing to work hard, you'll probably be pretty successful. But make sure it's that thing and not something else.
Absolutely. I'm gonna kind of chime in on that in the sense of like, if it's that thing, it has to be that. Okay, so for example, it has to be something that you just cannot turn off the switch. If you want to be great, because there's always going to be competition. Always going to be competition unless, like you said, you are that one scientist that can focus on that one thing. But for most of us, we're going to have competition. And the thing that separates us is actually two things: our creativity and our work ethic. Like I know me and Michael share this on a daily basis. We wake up with things we have to do, but more times than not, we have no idea what we have to do to accomplish those. But we know that we'll figure it out every single day. Or we surround ourselves with people that will teach us exactly what we need to do. And we swallow our ego on a daily basis. And it's super, super fascinating. Like, guys, we're no different than you, but we have a burning passion inside of our souls that just it every single day we wake up with that in mind. And that is our overarching thing that drives us forward. But then it's the hard work, it's the creativity, it's the leadership that's allowed us to thrive, because we knew every single day we woke up, we're like, gosh, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then we finally just took action and got the momentum going, and it hasn't stopped. And so you're no different than Michael and I. Like, never, ever, ever forget it. It's action, 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 repeated over and over and over again. And then it's that process, that habit, but then looking at the market and understanding where's that special void that you can fill, that and what's the special twist that you can put on that will change the game and that people will rally behind. So yeah, that's so epic. That was a really good answer, because I feel like this whole interview I've been just like, yep, like shaking my head up and down, like, yep, So this is going to lead me to my last question. So I got to set the stage for it. It's kind of an odd question, but I think it's a very, very good one. So let's say today is your funeral. And so we have thousands of people at your funeral, and there's somebody on stage. We have no idea if you've known them your whole life, or you've only met them one time, or honestly, they only knew you as the CEO of Enlightened. And they're actually up on stage to say your eulogy. What would that person say about you?
That's a big question. He's not actually dead, and I pop out, and it's all okay. If they can't say that, they'd probably say he was passionate about the things he believed in. He worked really hard, and he had a lot of love for a lot of people.
Dude, that's an amazing answer.
Thanks.
That's all. No, I like that a lot. That was really, really good. So that's cool. I mean, I love that question, because like I believe that's something that all of us, I need to really think about. Like, we worry about things on a daily basis that in reality, when we're on our deathbed, we're never even going to think about. In reality, they're truly not important. And if we can really understand the things that are really important to us, money is not really that important. Money is important for the things it can do for us, and the things the doors that it can open, and the difference it can make. So everybody on this podcast listening, is just know that life is about impact. Michael and I want to make money so we can make a bigger impact in the world, and put it back in to make an even bigger impact, to where when that funeral happens, there are thousands upon thousands of people there to actually celebrate our lives because we've made a big difference, and mourn because actually I don't even want them to mourn because we're gone, because we've left a legacy of people that are going to continue to live on that why. So it's super fascinating. But that was I love the whole aspect of the love. Like life is about love, and that's how you become a great leader. And that's how I know your team rallies behind you so much, because they know that you love each and every one of them, which is super, super cool. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, Mike. Like, this is super cool. I have to thank Enlightened. They've always had my back, and you're at the head of that. So I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are a great, amazing company, and I can't wait to see what the future holds, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Me too. Thanks. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks guys for listening. This is yet another episode with yet another amazing person. And just know that everything we talk about, you're capable of doing. You have an opportunity, you have an obligation, you have a duty to make the world a better place and take what you've been gifted and cultivate it and truly become something special and share that with the world. So take this interview as another opportunity to spark that fire and to really reflect on what you want to do with your life and take action, and then even more action. So thank you guys for listening. God bless, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.